Do you ever have doubts about your work?
No, you have to believe in what you're doing and just do it. And if people get it, they get it. And if they don't, it's up to them. I don't care. I don't care because I make the work first for myself and finally for myself and my own needs.
Can you talk to us a bit about the project, both the photographic and the video aspects?
Well, the project looks at the history of self-portraiture in photography, and the section that was prints were reconstructions of famous self-portraits, and the video was sort of more of a meditation on the whole idea of sort of an imagined world of photography.
How did you choose which photographs you wanted to reconstruct?
Well, I did a lot of research, but mostly I relied on images that struck me while I was learning about photography. So the images came from my memory, like a lot of my other projects that deal with my own memory and my own relationship with photography and the history of photography.
Do those memories stretch way back to your youth?
Yes, from the very beginnings of when I started photography in 1967 up through when I was learning about it. While I was doing the research, I was looking at more contemporary self-portraiture, but finally I decided to stick with a historical self-portraiture from the advent of photography up to the mid or early 80s, right up to the end of the modernist period, but before the postmodernist period.
Was there an effort to cover the entire history of photography?
I was interested in covering the whole of photography history up till roughly the 80s. And in fact, I had in mind many more photographs than I actually used in the final selection. But all of them, once again, came from images that somehow struck me. Sometimes because a work seemed very iconic, sometimes it seemed iconoclastic, but I was very interested in why these photographers may have photographed themselves. What was their purpose in trying to insert themselves into the history of photography?
Can you talk to us about the performative aspects of your work?
Well, I think that with the photographs, there is a large part of it is performance, and it's really important for me more than the technical aspects of it. Not that I ignore the technical aspects, but it's my performance in the photograph is really important for the success of the image. I don't want them to be jokey. I want them to be as authentic as possible.
Has performance always been an important part of your practice?
My father was in the leftist theater when he was younger, before I was born. And as I grew up, I became interested. In fact, I was in a theater group, a professional theater group, when I was in my mid-teens for a period of time. So I have a background in both photography and in theater that eventually matured as I matured. But the performative aspect has often been important because I often photograph myself. And my idea is, by becoming different photographers' self-portraits, I try to become photography itself. So there's kind of a conceptual aspect to the performance.
And why do you want to, as you say, become photography itself?
Well, it's partially to find my own place within the history of photography in a kind of a literal and irreverent way. But it's also a way of inviting viewers to share my fascination with the history of photography, and to question it, to question why, in this particular case, looking at self-portraiture, why is self-portraiture important? Why do people do self-portraits? How do they do them? And what does it mean?
Can you talk a little bit about the video work?
Well, for me, it's different than the photography aspect, in the sense that the photography part of it, the nature of the performance is very much predetermined before I make an image. Whereas with the video, there's much more improvising, although there's an element of responding to pre-existing material, in this case sound. The performances are probably a little more difficult for the video because one has to sustain the performance longer. With the photography, the necessity is only to at least have a second or two of good performance that you could use.
And what is the process of selecting the audio clips of the photographer speaking?
I came to the residency with a large number of video clips I was interested in working with. But as I started going through them and recording the performances, I realized that a number of the artists were sort of giving their manifestos or part of their manifestos. And I felt that by putting them together, I would create my own manifesto based on their own words.
Were the performances in the video difficult?
Yes, I had to repeat a lot. In both cases, the video and the photography photo sessions and filming sessions, I operated everything myself, the lighting, the cameras, and it was more, running a video camera was more complicated. There was also more motion. I would sometimes move. I would arrange the lighting in a particular way. And so it was much more complex, and often I would repeat and repeat. And in certain cases, the lip sync is not quite perfect, but it was good enough and it works. If you've watched it as often as I have, or possibly as often as you have, you may see more lapses in the synchronization of the lips to voice.
Talk to us about how you interpreted and performed the photographers in the video.
In the video, unlike the photographs, I'm not trying to visually become them. I'm trying to sort of be an incarnation of their spirit in a way, and a vehicle for their words. But I wasn't trying to touch onto any kind of reality in it.
Can you talk to us about the different layers of audio and visuals in the video?
So the videos were kind of conceived as this strange and completely self-reflexive world of photography. So I videotaped a number of my vintage cameras from my camera collection, the outsides and the insides, very close and kind of intimate, with the camera often moving. And I also conceived of lip syncing to the voices of different photographers talking about their own work. So there was another layer of audio of photographers talking about their work that is almost impenetrable. It's very difficult to hear it. It just provides sort of a background cacophony of photography.
But you have to believe in what you're doing and do it. And if people get it, they get it. If they don't, it's up to them. I don't care. I don't care because I make the work first for myself and finally for myself and my own needs.